Don't do that to me. Okay, so I'm just going to do a new. Damn it. How do I not have Jonas? Try to get his email for me. No, I don't just maybe just bring it up my daughter. Maybe. Angelica, I just sent it to Jonas, okay? What other counselors are we waiting on to log on? Is there somebody who is not on? Are you on, sir? Okay, give us 1 second. When Ty gets back, we'll get everybody on. There's Jonas. He's now on.
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay.
Counselors, are you on the second meeting invitation that was sent, or are you on the first one?
That thing here. So they're probably on the second one because it was giving that some issues. So should they go to the first one? I don't know mine. They're all right.
I'm so sorry. Do they zap them and then make them come out, or are they going to pull them out?
Everyone's showing on my side on Zoom, so I think we're okay.
Okay, great. All right, my apologies, ladies and gentlemen. We have a few technical difficulties. We still have a couple people ready to join, but I think we are good to go. So with that, the time is now 6:09 PM, August the 10th, 2021. I hereby call this meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. And if anybody doesn't have their computer silenced, please do so now.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for a moment of meditation. Councillor Justin Salazar Torres.
Father God, we come before you, Lord, just always thanking for your many blessings, Lord. And as always, we ask that your spirit dwell in these chambers as we make decisions for the betterment of our city, Lord. And as we go proceed through this meeting, Lord, more of you and less of us. And we just pray your blessing over our community to keep them safe. Amen.
Amen. And once again, I'll ask some indulgence if you could remain standing. We have a moment of silence today for several of us in our community have perished. We'll start with Councillor Peggy Sue Martinez, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Our community has recently had a lot of conocidos pass away, and I think it's only right that we recognize their service, especially those that served on this governing body and with the fiestas. So with that said, I'd like to recognize the passing of Mr. Bernie Hawkes, who was a former city councilor and a Little League and Men's League baseball umpire in our community for many years. Mr. Joe Suazo, who was also a former city councilor. Ms. Geraldine Maestas Garcia, who was a former Fiesta Queen for the Fiestas de Oñate. Mr. Eugenio Lujan, who was a business owner, owned the gas station down here right across from the Lotaburger, and Mr. Elibay Gurule, a lifelong member of District 1, City of Española.
In addition, we have somebody who has passed, who is very near and dear to this council's heart. The family of Mayor Pro Tem Dennis Tim Salazar would like to wish its deepest condolences to Ms. Cora Martinez. One last person who has left us that we would like to recognize today is Surgeon Martinez, who has left this earth to join her husband, Gus Martinez. They're the ones who brought us the wonderful taquitos from Stop and Eat. And if I have a bit of indulgence, I'd like to at least read part of a recognition for Miss Surgeon Martinez, who at the age of 91 passed away as a resident of Sombrio and the original owner of the Española Stop and Eat and Eat and Drive restaurant. Eat and Drive-In restaurant. She passed away August the 3rd. She was a loving mother, wife, grandmother, great-grandmother, sister, and friend, born in 1930 in Coyote, New Mexico. She had 4 brothers and 2 sisters whom she dearly treasured. As we mentioned before, she is joining her husband, Gus Martinez, who together ran the Stop and Eat. She was preceded in death by many who loved her and is survived by her 4 children, Alma Leba, whose husband is Jerry, William, wife Bernadine, Abby, whose husband is Richard, and forgive me for not knowing how to pronounce Katnak, and Gerald, wife Becky Martinez. She's also survived by her 2 brothers, Delfinio Valdez and Fermino, with wife of Julia Valdez. Usually, at times like this, we like to give a moment of silence. I think this provides us a different juncture. Before all of you city councilors, we have taquitos with the usual salsa from Stop and Eat, which, as I traditionally like to do, is pour an entire salt packet in the salsa before dipping the taquito. So instead of a moment of silence, we would like to offer a moment of crunch. So if you could, now is an appropriate time to celebrate Española in the best fashion possible. One of the most memorable that I have. We're dipping our taquitos in our salsa. To you, Surgeon and Gus, and to all of those who have perished, we are sorry, but grateful for your contributions to the community. of Espanola. Cheers. You may be seated. And for those in the audience, we still have a few more taquitos in the room right next door, so you're welcome to whatever you have. Go right ahead. Ms. Serrano, could you please take a roll and determine the quorum?
Mayor Pro Tem Dennis Tim Salazar,
Present.
Counselor Peggy Sue Martinez,
Honored to be with you all.
Counselor Justin Salazar Torres,
Present.
Counselor John,
Present.
Counselor Manuel J. Martinez,
Here.
Counselor John L. Ritchie,
Present.
Counselor Denise D. Benavides,
Present.
Counselor Dorothy D. Valdez,
Present.
Mayor Javier E. Sanchez.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Thank you very much. We'll go on to the approval of the agenda. There's one item that I know I need to remove. That is under matters from the mayor. Letter A, Medal of Honor presented to Officer Adrian Moya, who couldn't be here today, so we've moved that for perhaps another date. And also under matters from the mayor, we'd like to add, in particular for the record, Mr. Jacob Torres, who we would like to recognize, who is in the audience today.
So moved to approve as presented, sir.
Second. We have a motion for approval of the agenda from Councilor Peggy Sue Martinez with a second from Councilor Justin Salazar Torres. All of those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries and the agenda is approved. We'll next move on to public commentary.
Peter Fuller from North Central Solid Waste Authority.
Mayor, before Mr. Fuller begins, we recognize Jared Trujillo, former counselor in the House.
Mr. Trujillo, thank you very much for joining us today. We appreciate your presence.
What you know? Can everyone hear me?
We can hear you. Thank you very much, Mr. Fuller.
Mr. Mayor, City Council members, and members of the public. Good evening and thank you for the opportunity to speak to you regarding our current situation with solid waste. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Peter Fuller and I am the General Manager at North Central Solid Waste Authority. North Central is dedicated to providing safe, practical, cost-effective, and sustainable solutions for solid waste across our entire customer base. It is clear to everyone here that we have not been meeting this goal consistently, especially in recent months. As manager, I accept full responsibility for this, and I'm here tonight to speak to the causes of recent service interruptions, as well as what I and my staff are doing to improve. But first, 3 key facts about what we do. I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but the North Central Solid Waste Authority is comprised of the city of Espanola, Rio Arriba County, Santa Clara Pueblo, and the Ohkay-Owingeh Pueblo. Our job is to service the trash needs of every person in all of these entities. Secondly, Rio Arriba County is the only county in the entire state, to my knowledge, that provides door-to-door pickup services to everyone, regardless of where they live across the county. All other counties limit these services to only those residents living within a certain radius of a city center. 3, we have no landfill in the north. This means that every load of trash, every load, must be eventually moved across the Alcalde transfer station floor and then trucked to Rio Rancho for landfill. So what are the main causes of the recent declines? 1, the average age of any one of our trucks is 20 to 25 years. Trucks and equipment are now down more frequently than they are running. Our trucks are simply too old for the service for which they are designed. Repair shop turnaround is 1 month on average, often longer. It's more like 6 weeks, I'm told. So when we do get down trucks into the shops to be worked on, we are waiting at least that long for each such truck. 1 new polycart truck costs about $250,000. That would be $250,000. To effectively service our residential routes, we need at least 3 of this type of truck up and running. Budgetary constraints have made procuring new vehicles at these prices virtually impossible. Rates have only increased 1 time since 2017, and this only recently. At our July meeting, the board approved an 11.25% increase across all accounts. In August 2019, we had 2 of our mechanics leave our employ. Since that time, we have had only 1 mechanic to service the entire aging fleet. Everyone knows in March of 2020, COVID-19 hit us all. This pushed solid waste volumes to unprecedented highs, causing further challenges in collecting, processing, and transporting all the solid waste. COVID-19 also kept many people home, and hiring drivers, laborers, and office staff has been and continues to be enormously challenging. We are constantly short-staffed. My crews have been working overtime for months with the equipment we have in order to maintain the best possible solid waste service under current conditions. And before I continue, I want to address Mr. Ritchie's question. We did not get the entire city route picked up today. Any route that was not picked up one week will be prioritized the following week. We're doing everything we can with the equipment that we have across the entire area. So I wanted to let you know that. Actions we are taking to improve in the short term, and that's 6 to 12 months. Procure used polycart trucks in good condition. While used trucks are not a long-term solution, these trucks will allow us to restore residential service for all polycart routes while we seek longer-term solutions for all customers. This procurement is well underway. Determine the feasibility of opening or reopening convenience centers for customers in remote areas. The aim will be to provide legitimate, workable self-haul solutions for these customers. Continue our hiring efforts in the aftermath of the COVID manpower shortage, and apply for all available funding for which NCSWA may be eligible. For the longer term, and that's a year plus, establish which convenience centers are viable solutions for remote customers and open them or reopen them. Reallocate fleet to concentrate in more service-dense areas. Continue and expand funding efforts, and establish and benchmark a thorough cost per activity study for collection, transfer station, and transport operations to more accurately reflect where our rates need to be in order to maintain and improve service levels. And lastly, seriously consider building a landfill here in the north. I know that isn't politically popular, but I think we're going to need one if we're going to keep our lands from becoming a landfill by default. This would eliminate many self-haul issues, create jobs, and lower expenses for collection, transfer, and transportation operations across our northern region. So to conclude, used vehicles and equipment and door-to-door services across the entire customer base of the 58,000 square miles of Rio Arriba are not sustainable. We need to know exactly what all our rates need to be and make this transparent to everybody. And we need funding and sufficient staff and vehicles ongoing in order to continue to provide the services for which we were formed. This is respectfully submitted to the council. I'm
Mr.
happy
Fuller.
to entertain any questions anyone might have.
Mr. Fuller, thank you very much for joining us today with the presentation. I know that trash has been on everybody's mind, in particular of late, so that update was very beneficial to us. What we'd like is perhaps maybe a regular briefing, whether that comes from you or from Councilor Ritchie, who's on the board. That would be a very expected and nice thing. One thing I'd like to say is thank you for at least providing the daily information so that we at least have an idea for what will be picked up and what won't be. So we thank you very much for joining us today.
Could I make one request? It would be helpful to me if I could get, I don't know everyone's email that's on the council. If maybe John or somebody could send that to me, and then my staff and I can make sure everyone's copied so there's no mystery about who's getting what's getting taken care
Very
of.
good. We'll get our city clerk to ensure that you have everybody's email address.
And also to anyone in the house, I left some of my business cards are with the city clerk. The best way to get in touch with me for any good, bad, or ugly, bring it on, send me an email and I'll address it for you.
Okay. And usually we try not to address folks who come up for public commentary, but given the necessity of the issue, I'll allow for just some brief commentary or question. Councilor Peggy Sue Martinez.
Thank you for your indulgence, Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Fuller, for the presentation. I know this has been one of the most important issues or one of the most talked about issues in recent days. My concern is that it seems like you're constantly playing catch up, and I wondered if you've reached out to the county or to the city to ask if they have maybe one day of employees to catch you up so that you're not behind all the time. Just maybe all of us working together to put 2 trailers together, whatever we have to do to maybe pick up the west side or pick up Ranchitos area, whatever, just to help you guys not be so behind the 8 ball.
I would be more than grateful for any help anyone could offer. And I think the mayor and I started down those lines, and maybe Councilman Ritchie and I have not reached out to the county per se, but everyone willing to get their hands on the trash and help us stay caught up. At the risk of sounding a little, I don't know, ethereal here, trash is everyone's business. We all make it, we all pollute. there are two things that you don't want backing up on you, your toilets and your trash cans.
Mhm.
And when they do, that's when you notice them. And our job is to keep it moving. So with the community, that I've been here for 3 years and I've never been more impressed with the work ethic of the folks that have stayed on my staff are some of those hardworking people I know. And certainly the people in this room, my neighbors, the community, and you made me feel very at home. Anyone willing to work on those efforts, I would be very grateful. So I will do that. I will reach out. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Counselor John Ramon Vihil.
Thank you. You know, Mr. Fuller, thank you for coming this evening. Just last meeting, I had brought up the possibility of having like a summit or consortium and bringing back the Pueblo, the county, the city of Espanola. I think it's really important that we get down to business about some of these issues. And it seems that these are reoccurring issues and eventually we're going to have to handle them. One of the things when they created the JPA and doing the door-to-door service route throughout the county was to limit and decrease the illegal dumping that was going on the arroyos. And so that has been a big thing with me. Big concern is the long-term environmental effects from when us not picking up trash. So I would really highly recommend possibly facilitating some sort of consortium and bringing the stakeholders back because we don't get that report and discussion here in this council. And it's really important that all those stakeholders have a voice at the table and we get a full update, finances, such. And I really appreciate you for coming tonight. This is the best report we've received in a very long time.
Thank you. Let me clarify by consortium, meaning both Pueblos, the city and the county, because our board meetings are every Thursday, the third Thursday of every month, and they're public meetings and everyone's welcome. So if we can do more consortiums, I'm all for it. The more people talk about this and we realize we're all in this together, I'm all for it. So thank you.
All right. Thank you again, Mr. Fuller. We really appreciate your presence today.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
J.R. Truhill.
Good evening.
My name is J.R. Trujillo, and of course, I know all of you as friends and neighbors. And it wasn't long ago that I sat where many of you sit tonight. I know how tough of a job you have. I know how hard it is to make the hard decisions that you must make. And tonight I'm bringing an issue to you that is a hard problem, guys. And it isn't going to be how we're going to deal with the homeless camp at the end of North Monterey Lane, how we're going to deal with homeless camps that pop up after that. We've moved them from the area behind Walmart to the Ranchitos Park. Now they're at the area, the North Monterey Lane area. I do not have to tell you how horrible it is for the surrounding residents, the theft they deal with, the trespassing issues, stealing water, stealing power, cutting fences, noise all hours of the night. I mean, you know, I have rental properties in town. You know that most of them are for the working man. And it's hard when your residents can't sleep at night because they have all these people meandering around that shouldn't be there. We've tried our best to secure our fences to no avail. I was talking to Caesar with Malaga Mobile Home Park next door to my property. They're going to install a $60,000 chain link fence this next week. I told them, Caesar, save your money. These guys have battery operated angle grinders. They cut through steel like butter. I've known it because I have had them break into our storage sheds, our material lockup areas. I've filed numerous police reports. I've talked to the planning and zoning people. Sorry, Richard left. We don't have anybody there now to talk to. I tell you what, it's really severe. And I've talked to the city manager. I've done everything I've done, but to come to you till tonight. But I've been asked by people in the area, please go speak on our behalf. Go tell the city council and mayor how dire this situation is. It's not going to get any better. It's a tough problem you have to solve. But I'm sorry to say, you have to solve it. It's going to get worse. And people are getting angry. Okay? So it's not fair to the homeless people either, because these people are living in the dirt. They're pooping wherever they want to, peeing wherever they want to, throwing trash wherever they want to. It's going to be cold soon. It gets rainy, it gets windy. I mean, it's not a good situation for them either, okay? But some of them like doing that. I wouldn't want to be homeless. But I know the people that live in homes, they don't want to feel terrorized every hour of the day. They don't want to feel they can't leave their house without someone guarding it or watching it. So I just ask that you please put this at the top of your list if it isn't already there. And I really would love to hear some suggestions from you or some answers or what we're going to do. But it's not going to go in its own, guys. It's been building and building and building. I've spoken to Dee Dee, I've spoken to John Ramon. I've taken pictures of the area. I've spoken to the police. I've sent them to you folks. They think they have free reign of that piece of property they're on. It has grown in number as far as to who is on the property now. The city's acted on that property. You may remember that was a property that you had to tear down a recent home. Actually, a big home belonged to Herbert Trujillo's family. And what do? They burnt down the double wide too that was there. But now they're just living in tents and tarps in the dirt. So I'm sure I won't get any answers tonight. If you want to share something with me, I'd be happy to take it back to the community. But really, I beg you, we have to do something to address this problem, and quickly, please. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Trujillo. We appreciate your comments and your concern.
Mona Vihil.
Good evening, council members. My name's Mona Vihil, and I've been here before to address a problem to plead with you to have this ordinance changed on the feral cat colonies. I have a neighbor who's has many cats, and they're spilling onto my property. They're making messes, and she became a sponsor of the animal shelter of feral cats. So I know she has to adhere to certain things, conditions, spaying them and vaccinating them. But does this give a limit? Is there a limit to her many cats? Because she has cats to no limit, no end. And I'd like to address this. And it's not only a problem for me, for my property and the neighborhood, it's a problem for the whole Valley of Espanola. There's an overabundance of cats, and they keep breeding and multiplying, and it's just become a major problem. So I would really like help in this. This ordinance is just not working out, and I'd like help from you. I plead with you for help, and from you as a governing body to help me out here. But it's involving a lot of people from the valley. I know many friends that have a lot of problems with feral cats everywhere, and it's just a continual multiplying and breeding. And I really would like your help on this matter.
Okay, thank you very much for bringing that to our attention. And I've got a note down, so I'll begin that process and figure out what we can do next.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That concludes public comment.
All right, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. We'll move next to our committee chair updates and any councillor comments that we might have. Mayor Pro Tem, you want to yield?
Yes, if I can right now. Thank you, sir.
Councillor Justin Salazar Torres.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. Just giving a committee chair update for the Public Safety Committee that met this last Wednesday. Mr. Trujillo, we hear you loud and clear. That was an issue that I brought before our Public Safety Committee. We have asked our city attorney and city manager to report to us immediately the second that they have any sort of information to tackle this homeless issue that we are having. It's everywhere. And I believe everybody in this governing body is getting calls about this. So we hear you loud and clear. I just want to report that. Other than that, Honorable Mayor, regarding the application for the OHV on state roads application, I believe city manager has already submitted it. If not, it will be submitted with 2 roads. As Honorable City Manager had stated, less is more, which is true. So within this application for the OHVs, the only roads that were included on this application, committee members, please correct me if I'm wrong, but that would be Fairview Lane and South McCurdy. Those were the 2 roads that were included in the application to be submitted to Thank you, Counselor. Counselor John Ramon Vihil.
Thank you, Mayor. Would like to invite and welcome all members of Jemez Mountains Electric Co-op. We'll be hosting our 72nd annual meeting of the members to be held on Sunday, August 29th at Rancho de la Luz in La Cueva, located about 9 miles north of the village of Jemez Springs. Registration will open at 9 a.m. and will close at 1 p.m. We're inviting all members to please attend the annual meeting of the members. It's really important that you do. We haven't had a quorum in quite significant amount of time, and it hasn't allowed us to have amend our bylaws. Food will be provided and great fun activities for your family and children will also be provided, as well as door prizes. So it's really important that people make it out to the annual meeting for the members. It's not just a fun event. It's supposed to be for to conduct the business of your co-op. And it's important that people are active and participate with their cooperative because it is owned by you, the members. I want to go a little bit further tonight on Mr. Trujillo and Mrs. Vihil's concerns and issues. We really need to tackle these problems because they're affecting the livelihoods of individuals in our community, and they've come multiple times, and it seems like we haven't addressed them at all. People can't even live in their homes, and I'm going to go a little bit further too. I've had an issue with some 2 wild dogs that just continue to do whatever they want on the west side, and I'm in my yard and I'm trying to enjoy myself in my fenced yard, and they come into my yard because they hop the fence. And so I shouldn't have to be affected with burdens of feral cat colonies, wild dogs, the consistent homeless situation that continues to plague this community, which hasn't been addressed, is becoming a burden for property owners throughout our community. And it seems to me that this council has refused to take any action to move forward with addressing this solution and handling it. So I really hope that we can get some solutions for this instead of talking about doing it.
Counselor Manny Martinez.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I'd like to just give a little update of the Community Services Department. Just to let you know, the senior center is back in full operation. Senior staff has started outings as well. This month, the seniors have attended Santa Fe for several trips to the farmer's market, cooking class, and library day or library craft day. Parks has also continued to upkeep and improvement on all the grounds and weed control. Recently, they were also recognized by State Senator Leo Jaramillo for the great work that they've been doing at the Valdez Park and how it looked. So we just want to congratulate them on the well job done there. Also, library is hosting a basic computer class for all adults on August 25th and 26th from 10 to 11 in the mayor's conference room, as well as story walk in the park on August 19th from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. at Valdez Park, and a family movie day on August 18th at 1:30 at the mayor's conference room. Also, recreation has continued business as usual with the recreation department in collaboration with Rack Stop. We'll be hosting an end of the summer pool party, movie night at Rachinto's Pool. Snow cones and drinks will be provided, as well as face painting. Doors will open at 5 p.m. There is a limit to the first 70 people, so first come, first serve on that. Also, there's a community services department. We'll be collaborating with Goodabudge, Calsa, Rio Arriba County, and Espanola Public Schools to start a monthly food distribution for those in need in our community. And more details will be followed on that collaboration. And also, just a little note on the homeless issue. I know that the governing body in the past has passed ordinances to try and combat the panhandling issue. Most of these people are here because this community gives. And that's what they've been told by when public safety has gone and asked these individuals, because there is a large majority of these individuals that aren't from the city Espanola area, but are from Albuquerque, from other areas. They ask, why are you here? And their answer is because we hear the people from Espanola give. Councilor Martinez has been for several years trying to do an initiative to do a campaign of give, but give to the soup kitchen, give to the different organizations that help these people, but don't give to them personally. And until I think we get a lot of that instilled into our
fellow citizens' minds that, you know, you are actually condoning their addiction and their problems when you do give like that. It's not going to get too much better. Unfortunately, the ordinances that we have tried in the past have just been come down through lawsuits from the ACLU because they have rights too. And that's been part of the issue that we've been having to combat with when it comes to the homeless issue. We do have a homeless shelter in place. Unfortunately, when police officers, it's my understanding, when they confront these people and they say, hey, there's a homeless shelter, go to this place, they can help you, they don't want to go. They want to stay exactly where they're at. There's some that have gone, some have taken advantage of the opportunity to partake in their program to try and have a better life, but there's a lot of them that say, pretty much, this is how I want to live. So that's where we're kind of at, and it's what do we do without violating their civil rights as well. My understanding is the property that's in question, the big question is who is the proper ownership of the property? I believe it's right now in question, and that has been the issue that public safety has given us, because in order for public safety to go onto a property, they have to have the owner of the property's permission to do it. At least that's what we've been told. And so that's been the issue there with that particular piece of property. So it is a work in progress, but those are some of the issues. I'm really hoping we can get on board with Councilor Martinez's initiative for billboards and signs that she wants to put, because I think that would make a big impact if we start giving to like the Soup Kitchen and other organizations that are there to help, the Pathway Shelter, those different organizations, and perhaps maybe the ones that are just here because people are here, are good and give, maybe they'll think of another place to go. So, thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Peggy Sue Martinez.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Councilor Martinez, for bringing up the Please Help Don't Give initiative. This is something that I've been asking this council to adopt for a long time. And as we move forward in this community, it seems like we've sort of lost control of what's happening with that situation. And it's almost to the point where it's somewhat embarrassing, to be honest. We don't know the rightful owner of that property, but there are ordinances in our books that would allow for a police department to move. We have a noise ordinance that has specific times. We have an open fire ordinance that they could utilize. Certainly the city of Denver looked at ways of stopping people from defecating and urinating in the downtown area because it was affecting the bottom line of business and everything else. So they made it a sexual crime to do that. And people started to realize that they couldn't be doing that there, or they were going to get on a sexual predator list. So they were sort of ingenious in their solution. They thought outside the box, and I think that's where we're at right now. We know that that property is not able to get trespassed by the rightful owner because that person is deceased. But there are other things that we can do to make it difficult for anybody to squat any property in this community. It's wrong when somebody comes into your neighborhood where you've worked so hard your whole life and defines your quality of life. It's wrong. It's wrong. It's not right. Whether it's cats, whether it's your neighbor's feral cats. You know, I could see somebody having 2 or 3 feral cats where they feed and they sort of mice control the whole neighborhood. Now, when you have 20, 30 cats, that's just gross. There's no way that somebody can take care of that right. So we as a governing body need to put these things in place that protect our people, because if we don't, people will begin to check out of this community. And that's really sad. So we have to do it. I know that you guys want what's best. I know in the heart of hearts, we all want to improve Espanola. These are 2 really basic things that we need to work on. So I'll ask you, Mayor, to let's have a workshop on this situation and start thinking about ways that we can change ordinances to affect these people squatting in other people's property, or to affect what they're doing to our community. The Please Help Don't Give initiative is so critical, because when people in our community, we're taught through our culture to give money, to give food. That's what we're taught. We'll feed anybody. I don't care who you are. You come to my house, I'm gonna offer you cena. That's the way we are. And we're happiest when we're doing that. So when people say hungry, it's in our DNA to fill that need. And what we don't understand as a community, that our generosity is perpetrating addiction. 87% of money given to anybody on the street is utilized to perpetrate an addiction. So we have to retrain our people to bless those entities that can help these people out of these addictions. There's a lot of stuff going on in our community. Pathway House is one. The soup kitchen is another. The women's shelter is another. Educational stuff. There's a whole bunch of things that this money can go to if we can start training people to stop giving to people on the streets. That's why they're here. There's a guy at McDonald's at the drive-thru. You go through every day and there he is every single day. There's a reason he's out there. He's making money. He's probably making more than I am. It's not funny, it's sad. So I just want to say that I'm committed, and I know you guys are too, despite the differences that we have. I know you're all that committed. So I just think we just need to do this. And then the other thing I want to talk about on a little bit of a happier note is just the backpack giveaway and what an incredible event that was. You know, I would be remiss if I didn't recognize the Valencia family and what they did with that situation. Justine, of course, she's not with us anymore, but we're blessed because she's not going to be working with the city, but she's still working with adolescents at the middle school. So in that way, we still have that connection, and I still think she'll still be involved in these situations. It was an incredible event, but one thing that did strike me, and I mentioned this in the public safety meeting, was that we have a lot of grandparents raising a lot of kids in this community. It's astounding. And I just feel like we as a governing body need to resolve to push our legislatures to help these people. Most of these people are on Social Security, fixed incomes. They're raising 2 or 3 or 4 kids on a very fixed income without any help from the government whatsoever. And yet, if these kids were in the system, they would be qualifying for a food subsidy, they would be qualifying for a clothing subsidy, and they would have other benefits that they would receive. So I'm hopeful that we can start to affect our legislators to look into this and see if it's not possible that they can help these grandparents in this way. And then the other thing I wanted to do was just wish Counselor Didi a great school year as a principal of Velarde Elementary. And of course, all students and staff of the Espanola Public Schools, Powahki, and the surrounding area. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Counselor. We're going to go first to Counselor Denise Benavides.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to give a quick update on our broadband project. It's been the project of projects, I'll tell you, but we've made tremendous progress with it. We hope to upload the application on Thursday. We don't know if we'll get the 30 million. We're hopeful. There is other funding coming down the line. I am ecstatic to see how Rio Arriba County, Santa Fe County, our pueblos and the city have worked together in combination. It's a $58 million project to just install the infrastructure, the towers that are needed so that our community can move forward, so that our kids can have the Wi-Fi that they need so they can do their schoolwork and everything else. So we're hopeful that we'll receive a large chunk of funding for that. There is a match to the city, but we're hopeful that we can cover that as well. The second thing, Mayor, is I will address the homeless population. I am and always have been an advocate for the homeless in the right way. I don't believe that the current shelter is being managed in the right way, nor is it being run in the way that it should in order to assist in combating some of the individuals that are out there on the streets currently today. If it was, there is assistance for mental health, there's assistance for drug abuse and substance abuse. These individuals could get help. Now, I think as a governing body, we have to have the discussion of what do we want to do? Do we want those individuals here? If they don't want help, then maybe they don't need to be where they're at. Maybe they don't need to be here. It's a question that's a difficult one for us to discuss, and a topic that is a difficult one, but it's one that needs to be had. It's adding to the stigma of this community that I think this governing body is trying to change. I, for one, am. I'm tired of hearing people talk about Espanola, and you hear drugs and you hear low income, and that is so not the case. There is that small population, but To me, that stigma can be cured. And I think we can start with those homeless. The majority of the problem is substance abuse. It's an issue for our public safety because it takes up time. We're already short-staffed in public safety, and it takes up a lot of their time as well. So it needs to be addressed. There are several issues that need to be addressed, but I do think, Mayor, that we need to start down the line of figuring out and tackling some of those hard questions.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor John Ritchie.
Thank you, Mayor. Couple things. I just wanted to add on to Manager Peter Fuller's comments. We did purchase 2 trucks from Los Alamos, which will be coming into our city early next week. And then we also purchased a 3rd truck out of California those 3 will bring our operation back to Espanola more efficiently. Again, it's also proper training, proper maintenance to keep the longevity of these equipment around. The other comments that Peter Fuller made that we really have to take a look at, and I understand, the environment is our number one concern. We're the caretakers of what God gave us, and we're responsible for that. But we also have to look at the obstacles we have in our community. And, we are the largest county in the state, and providing door-to-door service is just not feasible. And it's not feasible, not economical for operations. And so we have to look about bringing transfer stations, but bring them back to where the community gets involved. If, one of the major concerns of transfer stations is the seniors. How are they going to bring their trash? Well, if they've got neighbors, we incentivize the neighbors to pick up their neighbors' trash, and we start discounting their rates. Those are options that we can look at. And so we've got to get together. And I do agree we can, at one of our board meetings, I invite counselors that are interested in bringing ideas forth that are concerned. And we look forward to an open discussion and the positive ideas that will benefit the whole community. That's it, Mayor. Thank you.
For apparently 3 follow-ups, very brief. Counselor Denise Benavides.
Just really quick, Mayor, to add to that, I was so happy to see Mr. Fuller here, and I could just see the frustration on his face, and just, I think he's probably hearing it from everywhere, and I could just see that. But in my neighborhood, actually, my neighbors did come and not complain, but ask me what could be done. And we decided that somebody would just volunteer a truck or 2, and we put all our trash in there, and they took it to Alcalde so that we wouldn't have overflowing trash. One of the other things I think that we need to talk about when we talk ordinances is enforcing them. I continually see, even in my neighborhood, people that think that they can have a junk couch outside in their front yard, or items like that. And I think that, again, it adds to that stigma. And if we want to clean up our community, and I specifically told one of my neighbors, you don't live up north anymore, you live in the city. And if you're going to live in the city, you can't have this stuff in your home. And I said to her, I'm so sorry, but one of my jobs as a city councilor is to enforce all rules and regulations that fall within the city. And I said, if you continue to do that, then I will have somebody from P&Z code enforcement come out. So you decide. And I think that sometimes we have to take those tough approaches, whether it be our neighbors or not. But if we wanted to truly clean up our community and our neighborhoods, that's what we need to do, is toughen up. And so I think, Mayor, that going forward, just like my fellow councilors have said, that's exactly what we need to do.
Thank you. For a follow-up, Counselor Manny Martinez.
Thank you, Mayor. I just was going to see if maybe our city attorney had any type of update on the Safe Haven initiative, just to see where we might be at on that, sir.
Yes, good evening, Honorable Mayor, Councilor Martinez. Nancy Long in our office is still working through that. We understand that there needed to be procedures in place with CYFD in the event that a baby is left in the box, and we are working with CYFD's general counsel to develop those procedures. And so that's where it stands at this point. And once everything is in a row and ready for council review and approval, we will bring it to the council, because I believe a lease agreement needs to be approved by the council at the end of this process.
Thank you, sir. Councilor Peggy Sue Martinez.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm sorry, I forgot this one issue. I know that recently they released a lot of money for renthelpnewmexico.org and also inclusive of helping people with overdue utility bills. And I know the city of Espanola is suffering from a lot of people who didn't pay their water bill during the COVID situation. So I'm wondering if the city has done anything at all to either address being able to connect these people to this kind of service and help that's available, or let them know, or personally make a call to overdue people and let them know this is the number you call to get help, or send the application in the overdue bills, or be a little proactive with what's going on with that. So, and the website is renthelpnm.org. I don't know what the phone number is, so thank you.
I can respond a little bit to that. I can tell you that I know that the link is on our website, the city's website for assistance. Part of the problem that is happening is that DFA took on this project, and it's a huge one. They are running so behind, not only in qualifying applicants, but in cutting and getting checks out. The other problem is that our government can't make anything simple. It is the most difficult process for somebody to just apply, and the amount of paperwork that's required just so somebody can qualify to get their rent and utilities paid is ridiculous. I worked the CARES Act piece when that first came out, and I am here to tell you that it was insane. So I feel for some of these people, and I think some of the people in our community probably would need assistance to even get started with the application, and the amount of documentation and proof of income and everything else. It's a huge checklist of what they have to provide. But those who have applied, they're in the system, but DFA is so far behind that it's incredible. They just didn't realize the magnitude of the project, but there is still a huge amount of money out there to be given out. So I encourage anybody who can to apply.
Thank you very much. I'm going to make one last comment and then I'm sorry, Councilor Didi Valdez.
Yes, I just want to thank Ms. Councilor Peggy Martinez on wishing all the students a great year. We had a principals meeting today, and we had a plus delta, and everything is going well at all schools. We have a little bit of issues with technology, but other than that, everything seems to be a great start. And I also want to recognize Mr. Trujillo's efforts on the homeless squatting issues. I know that he has worked very hard reaching out to different people, counselors, city manager, police, and unfortunately, he still has not gotten any answers. So I plead with the council that we meet and brainstorm and come up with a solution.
All right, thank you very much. Now, before I hand this over to Mayor Pro Tem, I just wanted to make a few comments of my own. First and foremost, I really have to recognize and be so grateful for the counselors who really do something about the things that they're passionate about. I know we hear a lot about, oh, we ought to, and someone should, and Mayor, what are you doing? Counselor, what are you doing? Comes down to something very simple. Councilor Peggy Sue Martinez, thank you so much for the backpack giveaway. You were working your butt off out there. I saw you getting, arranging things, and it's because you're super passionate about it. Councilor John Ramon, thank you for showing up to that event, and Councilor John Ritchie, you showed up as well. But I really do have to, dig deep and say, Councilor Peggy Sue Martinez, this is something that you're passionate about and you work toward. And instead of asking somebody, who's going to do this, you take the initiative. Councilor Denise Benavides, out there working with what Richard Hubler had left behind with regard to the broadband project. He had done such an amazing job of collecting data and information and just about writing it. And unfortunately, he left just at that moment. And Councilor Benavides took it upon herself to go to the meetings with Chris Heyer from Santa Fe County, from Rio Arriba and everywhere else to make sure that this grant for potentially $6 million that would help just the city alone, plus the rest for about 34 million to include the rest of the counties around us. I mean, that's tremendous. So you're taking the initiatives to do all of the things that you feel are right. Councilor Ritchie, you're helping to figure out what we're going to do about trash pickup. A lot of the things that we do here as a governing body require support of our departments, and sometimes they don't always get that. We don't want to give them carte blanche. We understand they're not to go unchecked, but should we expect more out of them, then let's try supporting them. That includes public safety. That includes planning and land use. We have to support the people that we expect the most out of. And quite frankly, sometimes we have failed at that miserably. On top of that, I'd like to suggest that instead of coming to the plenary here where we're all, at this point, directing the work to where it can and ought to be done at the committee level, right? We have public safety. So why aren't the ideas bubbling up from public safety? We have a committee for community services. Why aren't the ideas and solutions coming from those committees? And I'll tell you one of the reasons why. Because we've had to cancel them because of lack of quorums. So if you want something to be done, do it yourself. That's what we're here for. Do it at the committee level. Come up with the ideas, figure it out, find solutions before you come here and say, what are we doing about it? Because the question is, what are you doing about it? That having been said, we'll go next to Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mayor. Very well said. Also, thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak on this issue. I'd like to start off with the dire need for substance abuse and mental health treatment. Also, and all of us doing our part to ensure that the prosecution and judges put violent criminals away, and they stay put, they stay away from society. Some of them learn, but a lot of the times they don't learn and they come back and commit more crimes. That's what happened to my aunt. A week ago on Sunday night, August 1st, my aunt, through marriage, Cora Martinez, 74 years old, was brutally murdered by her own son. A child should always protect, watch over, and take care of your parents. Not to murder them, not to hurt them in any way. Cora's twin sister, which is my mother-in-law, was in the home when this happened, along with a little child. My mother-in-law is legally blind, very slow to walk, and constantly needs assistance. 2.5 years ago, when my father-in-law passed away, my mother-in-law had the opportunity to live with us, and she stayed with us for a while, off and on. She also stayed with my wife's sister off and on for a little bit, but our Aunt Cora was alone because she had lost her husband 10 years ago. My mother-in-law was alone. She lost her husband. So as very close twin sisters, they decided to be roommates. They're already very close as it is, so like it was a perfect fit. And Cora was very helpful with my mother-in-law. We were very grateful for her. So as a twin and a roommate, she took very good care of her and the little one. The night that Cora's son murdered Cora, he stayed there for hours and hours at a time. We are thinking the murder happened about 9 or 9:30, maybe 10 at night on Sunday, August 1st. The police, it was not reported to 911 to the police till about 5:15 Monday evening. During the entire night, we're thinking of until maybe 5:30 in the morning. Eric was there with my mother-in-law, walking back and forth, checking in on her, asking her questions, talking down on her, scaring her. The little boy was terrified, a 5-year-old little boy, terrified. They were feeling trapped with this monster. No access to a phone. There's no way to escape. Trapped in the corner of a room as he kept a very close eye on them. She said she was even afraid to cough or breathe heavy because he would kill her, that he would kill the kid. They thought for hours on end that they were next. They're so lucky to be alive, and we thank God for that. We don't know how, but we are so grateful to God, as they will live with this severe trauma for the rest of their lives. I'm not sure if people read the New Mexican today, but there were added charges to this monster. Sexual penetration of his own mother. Who does that? That's disgusting. Obviously, an evil monster does that. But as we're so grateful to God, they are now suffering severe trauma. This will be for the rest of their lives. And at the same time, along with our entire family, friends, and a devastated community, we all mourn the loss of such a very good, vibrant, loving, caring woman who did so much good. Anybody that knew her, even strangers, she always had that smile on her face. So you couldn't help but smile, no matter what kind of a mood you were in. She was nurturing like that, always thinking of others and caring for others. With that, my family and I are so very thankful to our mayor, Javier Sanchez, for all the love and support he has shown our family. The day that my mother-in-law had to go to the police department to make her official statement, which was heart-wrenching, we walk in and we saw the mayor at the front of the police department with flowers from my mother-in-law and our family, and a big hug. We greatly support that. We greatly appreciate his support. We are also so thankful for that. And to the members of the governing body, Justin Salazar Torres, John Ritchie, Manny Martinez, and Denise Benavides, thank you all on the governing body, names mentioned, for reaching out for the love and support. This has greatly helped our family in dealing with this tragedy, something so much bigger than petty politics. The great compassion and support our fire department showed. The fire department was on scene probably within a minute, maybe less. That's amazing. Thankful to John Wickersham, he was on scene. Amongst other firefighters, thankful for our fire chief, Ron Padilla, for the support. Also a huge thank you to our Police Chief Roger Jimenez, our Deputy Chief Jack Jones, who knew my aunt personally, knew my mother-in-law personally as their neighbor. The detectives, the police, and the entire staff, very helpful, very accommodating. And please don't think for 1 minute, it's just because I'm a city councilor, because that's what they do. Also doing their part and their hard work to ensure that no stone is left unturned, gathering whatever evidence, all the evidence that they can find to ensure that full justice is served. And this leads me to my main topic, as I've stated before and reiterated again in the past, not just because of our family tragedy, but again, reiterating the need for more positions in our fire department, in our police department, street officers, detectives. Although it was a very tragic situation that our family was present at for the crime scene, and also comforting my mother-in-law and the little one, I once again got to see firsthand the hard work of our police department. One of the detectives was on scene for 24 hours. He was on shift. He was ready to get off shift when this happened, his regular shift. 24 hours, a detective, straight. And when I looked at him and talked to him, he looked like he was sharp. How do you do that? Yes, they're trained to do that, but that should not happen. That should not happen. Because his job, desire to serve our city came first. One officer came in on his day off. Another officer, he was also on his day off. He came in to assist, leaving around midnight that night, only to be back for his normal shift at 6 a.m. the next day. There's been questions about Overtime in the police department, well, these are some examples. Justified. No, it's not mismanagement. Is a continued need for growth within our fire department and our police department within our city, a growing city. We have what, 10,000 and some people within our city, but we don't serve that. We serve greater than 60,000, maybe even 70,000 on any given day. All the way from Chama to Truchas, Chimayo, Hernandez, and many other areas in between. That's what they do on a daily basis. So with a full staff and a full budget, we still have that desperate need for more cops, more firefighters, more police on the streets, more detectives. Also, we've done what we can, but our entire public safety needs higher wages to compete with other cities nearby. They either decide to just bypass our city because of that, or they come to our city and it's turned into a training ground. And we continue to lose more good police and fire personnel. Our city absolutely, absolutely deserves the best. As one governing body, we can continue to look for ways. We could pressure our state and federal delegation. It was mentioned earlier a couple of times, I think, about work sessions. Work sessions are crucial. This is a crucial issue. Hopefully for prevention of other crimes like this. Everything centers around public safety. With more fire department personnel, with more police department personnel present, if we're able to create more positions, that equals less crime due to more visibility in our city. Cameras are even a deterrent. In turn, this is an opportunity for economic growth, more opportunity for all of us to prosper. In turn, it helps all of our great employees within the city all around to be able to better help our constituents and our visitors. All I ask is together that we continue to look for ways to do this. Last week, I try to do this when I can, but last week I listened a bit to the Public Safety Committee meeting. Councilor Justin Salazar Torres does a great job as always. We have a great committee. I was so proud, very proud to hear Councilor Peggy Sue Martinez commend our police department for an incident that happened in town. Yeah, that's just one piece of the hard work that they all do day in and day out. Again, thanks to our leadership of Chief Jimenez, Deputy Chief Jack Jones, Chief Padilla, Fire Union President John Wickersham, the entire fire department, the police department. Also, the rest of staff, please don't think I forgot about you, but it's just a time that I'm talking about this specific issue. As we have many issues to discuss, and we have many issues and concerns to tackle. Our employees are such hard workers and they deserve so much for our city. And us as a governing body, however ways we can work together to help. Mayor said it perfectly. What can we do? Rather than pointing the fingers, what can this councilor do? What can you do, Mayor? What can the department heads do? We have to support our departments. All of our departments, of course, hold them accountable. But they're very hard workers in every single department. Right now, what I'm understanding is something recently came out that the Greater Espanola Valley is the most violent city per capita in New Mexico. The drug problem, you always hear about the drug problem and we're top right there. So one would think because of that and a nationwide thing and a statewide thing that the call for help would come to Espanola, that this would be realized. But at the same time, we're not getting that. So I think we got to continue to aggressively go out and fight for it. But we got to do that together. And again, this is a need for increased revenue. We have to put violent criminals away. We need to ensure that they stay put and not back on the streets. what happened with his case is he even had an ankle monitor. He cut it off. He had several restraining orders, including on his mom and his ex-girlfriend. How sick he was as he took a picture of his dead mother and he sent it to his ex-girlfriend to tell her, "You're next." Who does that? That's just sickening. So with that, thank you, Mayor, for allowing me the opportunity to speak. Thank you, everybody, for giving me the opportunity as well to speak and to listen to me. Let's move forward and let's see what we can do as a city and just continue that desire with what we're elected to do, to find ways outside the box as needed, whatever we can do to continue to help our people of our city, because our city is so beautiful. Our people are so beautiful and they deserve nothing but the best. We all deserve nothing but the best. As it's always been mentioned, we are the heart of northern New Mexico. We're not just a pass through to Los Alamos, to Santa Fe, to Taos. So much talent, so much love in this city, so many caring people. Thank you, Mayor.
Mayor Pro Tem, we thank you for your courage and your bravery today. It's not easy to talk about the evils that exist within our own families and within our own communities. But at the same time, we also recognize that we are here to try to improve that situation. Each and every one of us, right? And we have positive examples. We turn left, we turn right, and sometimes they're right before us and we don't even know it. So carrying that heavy burden under matters from the mayor, we'd also like to yield the floor to Mayor Pro Tem once again.
Okay, everybody, this is a much more happy note, much more happy. At this time, me personally, I'm very proud on behalf of the Espanola City Council governing body to introduce somebody. I think by now everybody knows of a young gentleman, or he likes to call himself still young, who works for NASA, who had a huge part in bringing our very own Chimayo Espanola green chili, sending it up to space. That's just simply nothing short of amazing. Jacob Torres is a 1997 graduate of McCurdy High School. In his early 20s, he moved and worked in Las Vegas, Nevada. He even worked for actor Bill Murray as a restaurant manager. In 2007, he quit the restaurants. He moved home, accepted a shop hand job at the Santa Fe Opera. In 2008, he first signed up for classes at Northern at the age of 27. He earned 2 degrees and graduated, okay, let me get this straight, magna cum laude in 2010. In 2010, New Mexico State University offered him a full ride scholarship to get a 4-year degree. The Transfer Achievement Scholarship paid for by the lottery. He graduated with honors from New Mexico State University in 2014. In 2014, he was hired by Cummins Inc. as a valued product introduction engineer. He helped to develop the 2017 ISX 15L diesel engine. He applied and he was accepted at Purdue in 2016. He was offered a teaching assistantship and he taught to help pay for tuition. Get this, in the summer of 2018, bigger than anyone's dreams, he applied for NASA as an internship and he never left. He was supposed to return to write a thesis, but Kennedy Space Center kept him. And speaking of the green chili, only about 5 to 10% of his job is chili related, as he is the one and only engineer actually with a horticultural mindset in his team. So he builds and creates technologies for all types of crops. Somebody within our own city, an Espanola product, somebody who has done such a wonderful job and continues to help to put Espanola on the map in a very positive way. Our very own Jacob Torres. Welcome, Jacob. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. I appreciate it. Mayor Sanchez, thank you for allowing this time. I greatly appreciate it. Members of the council, I'm so excited to be here because I think that I consider myself a self-appointed representative of Espanola. And so in my mind, it's just a great thing to be here in front of you and talking to you about some of the things that we're doing with our name and our community in mind. I'm so humbled by the introduction that I had and the path that I've taken to become a NASA scientist. But before that, there was a lot of things that I went through and experienced while coming up through the school system here in Espanola, living through and learning and evolving it's all a progression, that everything is a path that you learn along the way. Everything that I did in the beginning wasn't the best. I experienced a lot of the things that everybody else has experienced. But it's all about being resilient and pushing forward. Not letting your past define who you are, not learning what happened to you now stop you from creating a better future. And I sit here and listen to these issues that you have to deal with today are very serious. These are very serious issues. You have your hands full. I can't even imagine that I'm here talking to you today about my positive project where we're growing chilies in space, because you guys are talking about serious things. But the thing that makes me speak out, and the reason I'm here now, I guess, is because it's very rare that there's something that captures the imagination, something that inspires. We have a lot of goals to improve our community. We know that we need to educate, that we need to reach the youth. We know that we have to do a lot of things, but how do we do it? In the end, it's about the idea and the imagination. And if you have something, an activity, or something like a mission, sending our chili up to space, that's an opportunity to capture some minds and improve the future of maybe students that are coming up, but also all of us, our neighbors, and everybody who are looking for something better, for some hope. This time, one time, Espanola Chili is in space on the International Space Station. Our name is on it. We are up front. At NASA, at Kennedy Space Center, I assure you that they all know where Espanola is. They all know the traditions of what red and green chili is. If you look at the publications, they spell chili with an E. NASA is spelling chili with an E. If you look at the way they spelled Espanola, the Enya is there. When we grow and if we grow, I'm a biologist. Maybe I should mention that the state we are at with the peppers, but we planted them 28 days ago. We planted 48 seeds. They're all the New Mex Espanola Improved Pepper, which is a hybrid between the Hatch pepper and the Espanola traditional pepper. And it was developed at the NMSU Ag Extension in Alcalde. We planted 48 seeds, and our goal really is just to get one. If we get one pepper, then that's a success. We flowered, we fruited, and now we can move on to other things like maybe tomatoes and vegetables and all those other things. But this is the one time that we are up front and they're paying attention and they respect our traditions and the way we spell our chili and all of these things. And I think that the reason that I'm here to say is that we have an opportunity to reach out. And I think you all have already done an amazing thing. In 2019, I came to visit and you issued a proclamation to declare 2019 International Space Chili Day. My teammate from Kennedy Space Center and NASA was here with me when I accepted that proclamation, and it just had an impact on our workplace and those scientists that I work with. And they're so passionate about what we're doing, and they understand that we have some struggles, and I think that they really want to reach out and help and work with us. So as of now, I've started my own activity. You said something about what are you doing to improve and change what around you? Well, one thing I did is I imposed myself and created a space chili challenge because, we would have gone this whole time without sharing it with the community. It would have passed by. You may have heard about it on the news, but there wouldn't have been too much about it. I insisted, I had to put myself out there to create an activity for people to become involved. That turned into the official NASA educational wing, which is Growing Beyond Earth. They send out a plant growth chamber and do crop selection for different crops that are going to go to space. And they bring in students to help grow. They become space biologists. And so, well, guess who joined in? Espanola Valley High School. They got their own chamber last semester. They won a state competition. Scott Valdez, who's their teacher, he started with 4 students. They were like, whatever. Once they started to get attention, they won state. Now there's 20 students who want to participate. And it grows and it grows. And my hope is that maybe we can find a place or an opportunity to make Espanola a space farming community, not only with our controlled environments and space chili, but learn how our crop and our culture works to apply it to who we are as those kids grow up and as people grow up. And so I think that we have a lot of things and very passionate issues. In the end, it boils down to looking towards the future. What can we do to help that future? And I guess I would say, I would ask the city to embrace this opportunity. There's a cultivar with our name on it. And by issuing the proclamation for 2019 Space Chili Day, I would ask for you to do that in permanent, maybe NASA Space Chili Day, a nod to let them know that you're paying attention and that we're engaged. And I think that they'll come here to work with us and to do good things if we did something like that. And I think I'll stop myself there. And thank you very much for having me. Excuse me, I'm sorry. I also have some mission badges here. Every NASA mission has a logo or a badge that goes with it. It started during the Apollo era when the astronauts would go up to space. They wanted to have a logo representing where they were from, and they would put it on their spacesuits. And now it's a tradition to have art representing what the science. And so if there's one thing that we are rich in here in our community, it's creativity and art. And the second that I knew that we needed a mission badge, I had to reach out to do something. So this was drawn by Brianna Archuleta from McCurdy High School. It was selected by NASA to be the official mission badge. And I asked her to sign them for you, and I have one for everybody. So if I can approach and just hand them out.
Mr. Torres, you couldn't have come at a better time. I think this is a great opportunity for us to seize that moment of recognizing how great we can be.
Thank you so much.
That's cool. Mayor, at this time, thank you, sir. I would just like to thank our mayor, Javier Sanchez, for welcoming Jacob. I was grateful and able to facilitate a small meeting with Jacob and Mayor Sanchez for a brief while on Sunday. So I thought it was great. I felt like a ping pong, looking back and forth of two brilliant minds, just back and forth. But it was awesome just listening to the discussion and talking about the Espanola Valley and ways that we can continue to help the Espanola Valley. I'd also like to state on Saturday, Jacob came back to Espanola with a huge welcome home celebration. In fact, it was at the plaza, and on top of that, it was his birthday. He wants to say he's 21, but I think it's twice that, if I'm correct. So, and then so there you go. So, right. Jacob's family, he comes from a long tradition of family within the Espanola Valley. Juan Valencia, former school board member, owner of Johnny's Bar. I'm sure a lot of you remember that place. Manny played there. Manny's still young, but and Isabel Valencia. I knew them. Mr. Valencia was a good friend of my dad. Saturday when I saw Jacob, he was wearing a hat, a shirt, and his walk, and he reminded me so much of his grandfather. I think that's a hat right there. And I told him that, and that happens to be his grandfather's hat. It's amazing. So a part of his grandfather, his mother, Gloria Valencia, formerly Torres, she's a longtime school teacher. She was my second grade teacher, and his sister Elena Torres was a classmate of mine. We graduated together from high school, and just a very giving, hardworking family that if anybody ever met or knew any of them, I feel, we're all very honored for that. And I'm honored to know Jacob, for Jacob to be a good friend, and for all your achievements. Just want to thank you for all your hard work, Jacob, and thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. For a quick comment from Councilor Manny Martinez.
Thank you, Mayor. I kind of feel like we've come full circle and you've been leading the way. Prior to Los Alamos, agriculture was the main resource in this valley in Espanola. Espanola was a big hub. In fact, when the railroad was here, that's where all the fruits and vegetables would be sent out. And now here we are coming back again, except this time in the future through space. And I think that's incredible. So it's like full circle, and you're bringing back that agriculture, that pride of what our grandparents and great grandparents knew so well, and knowing that what they did is going to be continued in the future to help our astronauts and other people that God knows where they may go, but this will go with them. And so I thank you for that. And just the fact, all you parents and grandparents that may be listening or watching on Zoom, I hope you guys all caught it, that this young man, I'm not going to say an old guy like Dennis did, but this young guy, because
When you said old guy, you pointed at John Ritchie.
Well, that was out of habit. Because he looks a lot younger than if he's over 40, I can tell you that. But if they're listening out there, they have to realize, I hope they caught it, that this young man is from Espanola, went to Espanola schools at McCurdy, went to Northern New Mexico College, and look where he's at. And if that can happen to him, it can happen to any other child that's here. And I hope they take that into stride, that if their passion and their education is there, and like you said, their imagination. I believe someone once said that knowledge is limited, but imagination is infinite. And this proves it right here, because I think if you'd have told any of us 10, 15 years ago that there'd be green chili from Espanola in space, I don't think anybody would have believed you. But so thank you, sir. And thank you. You are very inspirational to everyone. And I hope a lot of the youth take heed in this and see that they can do something, and they don't have to go to school across the country or across the world. They can get that education right here and still strive to do that type of job. Thank you, sir.
All right. Well, thank you so much again for coming and joining us joining our meeting tonight. All right, very well. Now we'll get on to the next item on the agenda, which is items proposed for council consideration and discussion. We have some action items and discussion items. Letter B, consideration for approval of co-sponsorship of the Espanola Valley Youth Sun Devil Football and Cheer League, requesting the use of the Valdez Ball Field starting August 3rd, 2021 to October 30th, 2021, Monday through Thursday, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. We have Mr. Jeremy Maestas.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor, honorable members of the governing body. So as you mentioned, we do have a request for co-sponsorship of the Espanola Valley Youth Sun Devil Football and Cheer, who are requesting the use of the Valdez baseball field. They've already started up until October 30th, which will be taking place Monday through Thursday from 6 to 8 p.m. I also have their president, Mr. Javen Coriz, here in case the council or the mayor have any questions that they'd like to ask him, but we stand for any questions if you have any.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Mayor stepped away real quick. So there's been a motion by Councilor John Ramon Vihil, seconded by Councilor John Ritchie. Any discussion? Councilor Justin Salazar Torres.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor Pro Tem. I just do have to state for the record, I know it's probably pretty funny for me to state, but my 4-year-old is part of the cheer league that is taking part. So I don't think anybody would have any issues with me not abstaining. But I just like to state that for the record. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Counselor Peggy Sue Martinez, you have the floor, ma'am.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. So the approval is for the use of the ball fields and an area to practice, correct?
That is correct, Counselor Martinez. They are also requesting the use of the bathrooms as well as the lights.
Thank you. So this is Espanola Valley Youth Sun Devil and Cheer League. I have been contacted by other people that have other football and other cheer organization that are also from here in the community that have asked me about the use of the City of Espanola logo or the City of Espanola name to their situation. I really feel like it's important that any kids that are here from our community have that available to them and also have the opportunity to utilize city properties as well. I feel like the more inclusive we are with the more kids, the healthier it is for those children. So I really feel like this is very important, but I also feel like we should open it up to as many people as need to use it. And also realizing that the City of Espanola name and logo doesn't belong to any one team, that it should be utilized by anybody that's from here in the community, representing this community. And always remembering that when we are representing Espanola, especially when we have Espanola on a uniform, that there's a level of expectation from the community that we represent with total and complete respect, knowing that our whole community's name is there. Thank you.
So just to follow up, Councilor Martinez, I completely agree with you, and the city is open to work with any one of the groups. This group did reach out to the city specifically and asked for our assistance. They have a
Absolutely.
great big amount of children that participate in this, not only in the football, but in the youth. And so, yes, by all means, we're happy to help wherever we can.
We also just follow up, I'm sorry.
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. Just thank the sponsors and the parents of these youth, because without the sponsors, the coaches and parents being committed to getting these kids out there, practices sometimes after work, after school are a little difficult to make. And, you know, it takes a lot of commitment from families to move their dinner and hustle this way and hustle that way and be ingenious and with who's taking who, where and how. So we just really appreciate that kind of parenting happening in our community. And we thank you, Jeremy, also for bringing this before us. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor John Ramon Vihil.
Thank you. Mr. Maestas, I'm really excited about this, but a couple of years ago, we had this ridiculous regarding in our MOUs about them maintaining the fields themselves. We're not requiring them to do that, right? Because that's a big burden on the group. I know for the Little League, we were doing that a couple of years ago, and that was very burdensome from the parents and the coaching staff.
Counselor John Ramon Vihil, no, we are not requiring that. They have agreed that they would assist in picking up after themselves. But
And
they
that's
will not-
perfectly
yeah.
fine.
But they won't be upkeeping. Our park staff will be taking care of it.
Good. Okay, great.
Thank you, Counselor Justin Salazar Torres.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor Pro Tem. I would encourage the governing body, that's why I disappeared a while ago, just go step out right now. You'll see those fields full of a bunch of beautiful little kids running around. But Director Maestas, if you wouldn't mind also just reading why they're utilizing Valdez instead of Ranchitos Park. I know they were originally at Ranchitos Park, but they did have to come over here.
Yes, thank you, Counselor Salazar Torres. So the reason why we moved them to Valdez Park is because eventually the Ranchitos Park will be going through some renovations. And so to avoid interrupting their practice time and their activity, we wanted to ensure that they had a space where they wouldn't be interrupted. So that is one of the reasons why we moved them to Valdez instead of at Ranchitos, because Ranchitos will be going under some renovations here soon.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Any other questions, comments? Counselor Benavides, go ahead, ma'am.
Thank you. I just want to thank Jeremy for bringing this to us. And I also want to welcome Jeremy. I hadn't had a chance to do that to the city. So grateful that you're here. I also want to recognize, I'm not sure if Mohammed is still here in the back, our new city planner. He's
still there.
Hi, Mohammed. We hadn't met, but he and I have been officially working together on this crazy project. And I appreciate his assistance and his contacted me after hours and working together with me. Thank you so much, Jeremy. Thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, if we could, I would just like to ask Mr. Codiz to come up real quickly. He is the president of that league, and so that he can give a little bit of the spiel on that as well, so.
Good evening, Mayor Sanchez, members of the council. My name is Javen Coriz. I started this league about 20 years ago. It's gonna go, I think this is our 20th year. It's been running strong. Originally, Ranchitos was our home for the first 8 years. We were able to utilize the high school up until COVID with their new protocols. They didn't allow us to use the field this year. So thus, we're coming back to our original home. I thank you, for your consideration and thus far for, letting us use the fields. It's been a big help. As Counselor Justin Salazar Torres said, if you walk outside right now, you see about anywhere between 150 and 200 kids right now out in the field, boys and girls that are participating in flag football, tackle football, and cheerleading. I started this league with a mentality of, the kids need something else to do in this valley. It'll take them away from the high risk behavior. It'll reduce the high recidivism rate that we have. Currently, my 825 is helping adjudicated youth. By me helping these kids since they're small, will not only help the community, but it also helps the schools as well too. Some of these kids, they don't have no structure. 2 hours a day is their structure. We put a lot of effort. We don't charge. We don't make no money as coaches. This is all volunteer time. So the hours that you see there, it's just parents that are willing to or communities of the members of the community that are willing to donate that time to try and help these kids out. And again, I appreciate you guys again for taking consideration, for helping us out and helping the valley. Appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
Questions?
I think we're good.
Thank you.
Do we have any other council comments or questions? Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. We have a motion on the floor from Councillor John Ramon Vigil with a second from Councillor John Ritchie. All of those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? All right, hearing none, the motion carries. Thank you very much. We'll go next to approval of memorandum of understanding between the Espanola School District and Espanola Project Rio Arriba Community Empowerment, or the RACE program. We have this presented by Ms. Veronica Marufo.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and members of the governing body. My name is Veronica Marufo, and I am the Student Outreach Coordinator with Project RACE. I do present the memorandum of understanding between the Espanola District and Espanola Project Rio Arriba Community Empowerment Program.
Motion to approve, sir?
Second.
Very well. We have a motion of approval from Councillor Manny Martinez with a second from Mayor Pro Tem Dennis Tim Salazar. Do we have any councillor comments or questions? Councillor Peggy Sue Martinez.
Thank you. Just thank you, Ms. Veronica, for stepping up to the plate. I know this is something that has been sort of on your lap, and we appreciate your efforts in this. So thank you again.
Thank you.
Councillor Manny Martinez.
Yes, thank you, Veronica, for stepping up like Councilor Martinez stated. Is there any difference from this MOU to the previous year?
There's no changes.
All right, Councillor Didi Valdez.
Yes, I'd like to thank Project RACE. They took backpacks to Velarde Elementary, and I'm sure to all the other 11 elementaries. We appreciate it. Thank you. You delivered them to the school.
Thank you.
All right, very well. We have a motion on the floor from Councillor Manny Martinez with a second from Mayor Pro Tem. All of those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? All right, motion carries. MOU now exists. We'll go next to the approval of the memorandum of understanding between McCurdy Charter School and the City of Espanola Project Rio Arriba Community Empowerment Program, Project RACE. Again, Ms. Marufo.
Again, I present the memorandum of understanding between McCurdy Charter School and the City of Espanola Project Rio Arriba Community Empowerment Program.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, we have two motions of approval from Councillor Peggy Sue Martinez and Manny Martinez with a second from John Ritchie.
Any other further discussion or commentary?
Under
Questions?
comments, Mayor?
Yes, Counselor Peggy Sue Martinez.
Thank you. I just want to say that I really believe that it's important to be inclusive with McCurdy Charter School as they are directly within the community and they do have a middle school. And I feel like the middle school age are the most vulnerable in our community at this time. So I'm very grateful that both districts are being represented on this MOU. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, seeing no further commentary or questions, we have a motion and a second. All of those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? All right, the ayes have it. Thank you very much. We appreciate your presentation.
Thank you.
So now we will go on to the approval of automatic aid agreement for fire suppression between the City of Espanola's Fire Department and Santa Clara Pueblo Fire Department. We have Mr. Chief Ron Padilla.
Mr. Mayor, members of the governing body, we have presented before you is an automatic aid agreement with Santa Clara Fire Department. They pretty much already come out automatically to assist us. And it's at any time, day, night, midnight, 3 o'clock in the morning, they're out there. With this automatic aid, it just makes it official and it improves our ISO rating as we have with Rio Arriba County and 3 of their districts. So that's one of my next goals is to really start improving that portion of the fire. Any questions?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion of approval from Counselor John Ritchie with a second from Counselor John Ramon Vihil. Do we have any other comments or questions for Chief Padilla? Counselor John Ramon Vihil.
Thank you, Chief Padilla. These partnerships with our Pueblo neighbors are what's going to benefit us as a community. And I've always believed in regionalization, and I think that's the future. So it's important that we continue to foster and facilitate these discussions. So thank you.
You're welcome. And I'll keep on trying to do that.
Do we have any other comments or questions? All right, well, seeing none, all of those in favor for the approval of the automatic aid agreement signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, the motion carries and the aid agreement is now approved. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. We have reached the end of our agenda. It is now 7:46 and this meeting is hereby adjourned.